Randy Tobler.
They play this ball possession with these receivers. 2nd and 6. Mahomes, end zone, caught by Kelsey. Touchdown. It opens up that defensive playbook with that guy there, Spagnuolo. 3rd down and 8. Blitz was coming, and this one is caught.
Well, we had an all-points bulletin with a Kansas City Chiefs victory last night, another resounding victory after the previous week against the Raiders, and they are rolling now, looking good. That touchdown by Kelsey after earlier he had one of those deflections, ended up in a touchdown, but he had a big game as well as, 5 different receivers? It was a big game last night.
And now ties the franchise record for the most career touchdowns in a Chiefs uniform. For all your Travis Kelce hate, Drake and Randy, who said at the beginning of the season he might be distracted, he's losing his fire.
I wondered about it, but, it's okay. He's only had 2 interceptions because he missed the ball and it bounced into someone else's hands. But other than that, he's having a good year.
Start, but look at the score to the game. I mean, scoreboard, right?
No, that's true. No, he's looking good. And I love that one where little out pass, it was sort of a little escape valve pass, and he motions out to the flat there. And Drake, I don't know if you saw that, but he got out to the flat. Mahomes gets out of trouble, rolls out, passes it to him, and he lumbers down the field for 30 yards or so. It was great to see. As I saw him rubbing his back and his hips and thighs after. I'm just kidding. No, he's great. He's looking really good.
I mean, if there was a dance-off, Travis Kelce would win.
Yeah, he's
hands down
looking good.
Yeah,
I do think that was a great game by the Chiefs, and I'm somewhat scared of them.
Drake.
No, I mean, you guys played really well. It wasn't like the black magic voodoo stuff that you did last year and the year before.
You guys played good. Who are you talking to?
I'm talking
Me
to the
and
Chiefs.
Stephanie?
You guys, the Chiefs. But, the thing is that it's not that Travis Kelce's the worst receiver known to the NFL, nor tight end. He's actually really great.
He's great.
Okay, Stephanie stood up and pointed at her jacket.
He's great.
Yeah, he's great, but he takes up so much cap space that
he is the GOAT.
I don't know if he's the GOAT. No, I don't know. What about the Patriots guy?
Rob Gronkowski.
Gronkowski, come on. Gronkowski might be the GOAT. I don't know. It's between Gronk and Kelsey.
I don't know. There's some like really young tight ends that are looking really good.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that with the cap space, you don't have enough money to go out and buy a receiver right now. And there's a lot of really good receivers that might be looking for a trade right now. A.J. Brown from the Eagles. I mean, it just limits your options. And I don't think that Travis Kelce's worth it. But hey, maybe if he puts up a game like this every day.
Do you think Norfleet's going to be big in the NFL? I mean, he looks great for Mizzou.
Maybe.
Don't you think? I mean, I think the guy looks great.
I mean, he's a great tight end. Yeah. I don't know if
wonder if he's going to go
excel in the NFL.
And help me out a little bit, because when the game started, my son, who watches this stuff way more closely than I did, said, "Oh, we're gonna beat the Commanders, no problem, because their quarterback's out with an injury." And then I watched the first quarter, and I'm like, "Weren't we supposed to be doing really well? And now we're throwing all these interceptions." So I mean, we played really well, but they weren't at their best either, right?
Yeah. So their starting quarterback, which is the only reason why they were good last year. He's been out for a week or two, maybe more, but their backup is the best backup in the NFL. So it's not like you were playing nobody. That's why I was surprised that the score was like that.
Their defense was pretty porous, though. The secondary, a lot of wide open KC receivers throughout the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Washington. It's just their quarterback's really good, and they have some wide receivers. That's it, and they just make magic happen. Which,
again, reinforces my point that we should not centralize control our football in Washington, D.C. They just can't do it well. When you ask D.C. to get something done, it doesn't get done well.
You're going to be disappointed.
However, Donald Trump can do something well when he's overseas. And
the U.S. is looking to decrease
acts like he's hooking up, and Wagner jumps it, and then it's just a foot race, and it's one.
Aichi stressed her eagerness to strengthen ties between their countries.
In order to make Japan and the United States stronger and more prosperous, I want to work together with President Trump to build a new golden age of the U.S.-Japan alliance.
So that's the Prime Minister of Japan, Sanae Takaichi, who made the comment that he wants to, she's sort of riffing off the Trump mantra of this will be our golden age. She wants to make it a golden age between Japan and U.S., which already have a great relationship. And they signed this framework for a critical minerals deal, which is very important because, of course, this is really a national security thing. It's an economic liability that we do not have either geographic or the processing capacity in the West, for that matter. Japan, Australia, they have some of these minerals, but apparently China has a corner on the market. Been looking into this. It's not just about mining the minerals, but it's about extracting it and purifying it and spinning it and casting it into magnets. And there's some other technical stuff there that apparently they have just really, for the last decade or three, gone into the long road on this. They own a lot of the geology about this topic, and they own a lot of the processing capabilities, and the engineering is way ahead of the rest of the world. But the U.S. and Japan have agreed that the two countries will provide financial support for mining projects within 6 months. Short timeline. And also that they want to do, intensifying the cooperation to accelerate the processing as well. Now, what that will translate to and when that will finally mean that we can say, snub our nose at China, probably a long, long way off, but you got to start sometime. So that's good news. This is just a couple of days after he signed the agreement with Malaysia and in Malaysia with Thailand, Cambodia, and Malaysia, again, about critical minerals. So meanwhile, he's probably going to have a meeting with Xi at some point in South Korea sometime later this week. And all the while, today is the day when the air traffic controllers don't get paid, right? I think this is the day that happens. So
apparently there was a massive issue in Dallas yesterday, which is a problem for a lot of folks in Missouri, seeing as I think most people out of Springfield fly, or out of Columbia fly either to Chicago or Dallas, and I think Springfield sends folks to Dallas too.
Well, we all know that it's always better. Those early flights are going more likely to be on time than later flights as a rule. And then when you have any other kind of impediment to flights ahead of yours, it all backs up and it becomes a domino effect.
Yeah, and I think I commented, like, most people I know aren't flying regularly, right? So it's not going to impact a lot of people I interact with on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I think the problem comes in, you got a lot of government employees and you got a lot of business people who don't have any choice but to fly a lot for business. And when you start interrupting those kinds of things, I think, DC is going to hear about it.
And I believe that this is also another important day, and I wasn't aware of this, but apparently it is it's First Responders Day. Is that right? Did I hear something about that? I wasn't aware of that, but I think that they were National First Responders Day. With thanks for first responders. And I know that, John, you've been involved in those efforts in emergency, crew, right?
Yeah, that's kind of neat for the emergency crews to get their own special day.
Yeah, so I think that maybe y'all can look out for some first responder discounts and so forth throughout. That might be the case. So I wasn't aware of that, but I heard that coming into to the show today. This is the National First Responders Day. We thank all of our firefighters and police officers, and there's dive crew teams as well, and emergency diving crews and other kinds of first responders, highway patrol officers, emergency dispatchers. If those people doing the responding don't know where to go, they don't respond. So we want to reach out for them as well. EMTs, paramedics. So there you go.
And not only our paid folks, but, a lot of our folks in rural areas serve on a somewhat volunteer part-time basis.
Yeah, lots of volunteers out there all across mid-Missouri.
And I guess they mentioned in this news release about medical folks, too. And I think the people that receive incoming at the hospitals, not only, the paramedics that bring them in, EMTs, but also those people that receive them. In a way, they're first responders because they're having to triage and really make some of those critical decisions, really at the point of the spear when these things happen. So big shout out to all you guys. And if you are aware of a business that is giving a discount, maybe you have a business that's recognizing first responders, let us know. 573-874-9390. Give us a call if you want to shout out for someone in your realm, whether it's a family, a relative, a coworker, whatever. Do that. 800-529-5572. Maybe you've benefited from a first response and it made the difference between life and death. Maybe they pulled you out of a car. Maybe they got you to the hospital or you're having a heart attack. Give them a shout out. It's really they
put out the fire on your house.
Yep. They go largely unrecognized and certainly underpaid in my estimation as well, from what I know of that profession. Well, we know about that in the Columbia area anyway, where finally I think they're recognizing that they need to top up the till a little bit when it comes to the pension fund and so forth. The other thing that's on the dais today, did you see this, Stephanie? That the anarchist, there was an anarchist apparently who posted online. He put out a $45,000 bounty on Pam Bondi's head. Did you see that?
No, that's horrible.
On a TikTok post, and I think he's been arrested now. The FBI have arrested him. I don't. What is wrong with these people? I mean, we are at a time that I can never imagine. I mean, there used to be you'd see the occasional threat or assault on someone in prominence, an elected official, an important, cabinet members. This is craziness. I mean, people are just posting this stuff left and right without thinking. Seems like people lose their filters on TikTok more and more. And when it comes down to threats on people's lives, we've got to act swiftly and certainly. And I hope that this guy gets prosecuted quickly and there's some kind of stern punishment. And I hope that is somehow, maybe if we take over TikTok, that may be among the things to be discussed with Trump and Xi when they meet in South Korea. Maybe one of the new responsibilities of whoever the coalition that buys TikTok, it ought to be, look, you can have TikTok, you can run it as a U.S. concern, but you must publicize when people like this are prosecuted on TikTok.
Well, and I think Missouri. Well, I know Missouri's own Eric Schmidt is leading the charge to have a committee hearing in the Senate on politically motivated left-wing violence in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination. I think that hearing is happening today.
About time. Yeah, we need that. Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie when we're back.
It's Wake with our incredible Japanese allies and all of our allies all over the world, we stand strong, we stand proud, we will stand taller than we've ever stood before, and we will be freer and braver and more brilliant than ever before.
There's Donald Trump in Japan. Here's Stephanie with the Daily DC Rundown.
Of course, this is to counter China's rare earth mineral export restrictions ahead of a Thursday meeting with Xi in South Korea. He signaled some critical minerals cooperation deals with Japan, and he's got similar agreements with Cambodia, Thailand, and Malaysia. Those minerals are really important, Randy, and we've talked about Missouri's own minerals, but you talked earlier about the challenges with getting those out of the ground, processed, and in a form that's readily usable, which China is ahead of us on. So, but still, Trump making waves on the international stage, doing what Trump does. While we're talking international stuff, we've got a Category 5 storm headed straight for Jamaica. It's expected to make landfall this morning. It is expected to be the most powerful storm to hit Jamaica since it began keeping records in 1851. When asked about it, the prime minister there said, "I have been on my knees in prayer." Have you been to Jamaica, Randy?
Yeah, that's where we honeymooned.
Yeah,
on the
too.
North Shore there by Falmouth. Yeah,
Yeah, and
Man, that's scary, isn't it?
it's nice. I mean, I was seeing posts
Yeah,
on
it's
social
really-
media of people who were there at all the resorts
It's
saying,
really something.
you know, we're hunkered down. They're telling us we have to stay in our rooms. You know, the airport's closed. There's no flights out, and you wonder because I remember when I went there, Randy, I thought this was going to be like an oasis. And it was beautiful, but like the infrastructure and the resort itself, I remember being like, it's kind of all just shabby, a little shabby. Did you?
Yeah, it's sort of, it's affordable for newlywed honeymooners.
Yeah, but when I think about
Third world.
when I think about it holding up to a Category 5 storm, I have
quality of the building? No.
Serious concerns. So we'll continue to monitor that as we also are monitoring what's going on in the NBA following the big crackdown with the FBI last week. The league yesterday told teams it's now commenced a review of how it reports player injuries to the public. If you heard the story, and I'm sure you did last week, a lot of it has to do with betting the under on players who have some sort of injury and are pulling themselves from the game. They talked about how they might use AI and other tools to identify gamblers with insider information and with suspicious activity. So as we march toward the continuing government shutdown, what day are we on? 28, day 28. Yeah. I really thought it was going to be over before I got to D.C., Randy, but I guess I'll be there and I can report from the ground. But certainly the SNAP benefits are an issue. We spoke, we reported on Governor Kehoe's comments about that there are over 40 million Americans, many in Missouri, set to lose food assistance at the end of October. We also worry a lot about the military pay because they had money that they could use in this fund to pay military members. That has mostly been depleted, and October 31st is a payday, and the government needs like $6 to $7 billion to make all those payments work. I know that's really important to you and your family.
Yeah. I mean, I think they had a rainy day fund
to everybody.
Yeah, they had a rainy day fund of about $8 billion to start with. So if it's 6 or 7, they used that up almost in the first go around.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the national news media is focused on the TSA fallout and how that might put pressure, but I think this military pay is bigger than that. We're also seeing more redistricting action in Indiana. We heard the governor call a special session yesterday to redraw their congressional map. Right now, the GOP holds 7 of the 9 seats, so they're thinking they can pick up 1 to 2 more. That's going to be important as we head into the midterms.
Yeah, I think today with the TSA and the air traffic controllers not getting paid today, this is interesting. And how this is all going to pan out for the midterms is even a longer play that I think they're probably all working on for sure. Hey, Social Security payments are going to rise a little bit, and a Missouri judge is upholding a ballot summary. Let's talk about that when we come back.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump?
Evaluating this day by day. There cannot be a regular legislative session so long as the government is closed and Americans are feeling so much pain. We won't do that. Now, in the meantime, Republicans, I don't know what the Democrats are doing other than publicity stunts, but I can tell you the House Republicans are doing some of the most meaningful work of their careers. They're in their districts.
Well, that's Mike Johnson as he's holding the line saying the Senate is acting like a bunch of fools, the Senate Democrats, not getting their job done, bringing people back in. Today, the day that the TSA and air traffic controllers do not get a paycheck while they continue to work. The pressure continues to mount. And he's talking about bringing them back into session, but only if the Senate Democrats agree with the Senate to file and pass a federal employee funding bill. Chris Arps joins us now and trying to make some sense of where this is all going now. Chris, the second longest shutdown in American history. You think someone's going to cave sooner, or will it be later?
I think it's going to be sooner. This is day 28, and the only reason I know that is because it corresponds with the date. I'm going to be lost next month if this isn't shut down. But I think a big development yesterday was the government union that came out saying that, both sides have made their point, but the American people, particularly the government workers, are hurting. You need to open the government and then decide what you're going to do about these Obamacare subsidies. We've seen polls that have said the same thing. I think I've read a poll on the show that said 61% of Americans want the government to reopen and then negotiate health care. So this is a losing issue for the Democrats. A lot of folks are saying that November 1st, that's when the Obamacare subsidies are supposed to go up. That may be the Democrats' off-ramp. They can declare a moral victory and say, we tried to get these premiums not to rise, but Republicans are recalcitrant, so it's time to end this. So Senator Schmidt even said the same thing last week, that he doesn't think this is going to go on much past November 1st.
What does it tell you that 40% of Americans are okay with the shutdown going on? I mean, I think that's actually maybe a good sign that people realize that, hey, let's continue to recognize, despite some pain, that maybe this federal government is not the almighty end-all, be-all, and existential provider of all things benevolent that some people think and want it to be.
I think those 40% are a reflection of what I'm thinking, and you're probably thinking, and the audience is thinking, that, the government shutdown really hasn't affected me all that much. I haven't been doing any traveling, so I haven't seen any long lines at the airport. SNAP benefits, I'm not on SNAP benefits. I'm not concerned about getting that. So I think to most Americans, they have not really seen much of an impact to this. We're heading into the fall, into the winter, so people aren't really going to national parks. That was a big issue before, that people were going to that and couldn't visit those parks. So I think it's just had minimal impacts to the American people. I know that I'm worried, and a lot of people are worried, that with the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, and that is supposed to be one of the busiest travel days of the year, that they're concerned about sick outs from the air traffic controllers and from TSA agents that could really gum up the airports. But besides that, I don't think many people are feeling the effect.
Now, we are hearing about a planned hearing by Missouri's own Senator Eric Schmidt on left-wing political violence. He's expected today to host 3 witnesses: Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire, Chad Wolf, former acting Secretary of Homeland Security, and then the Director of Homeland Security and Counterterrorism.
As far as he,
you think that's what do you make of that? I mean, is that how do we solve this problem? And is digging in with a hearing going to make any difference for the Democrats in this left-wing political violence we've seen?
I think this hearing, of course, will get this on the nightly news and the newspapers, and people will pay attention to this. There was a study that came out a couple of months ago that showed that the majority of the political violence that's happening is not on the right side of the aisle, it's on the left side of the aisle. And we see daily the clashes in Portland and in Chicago and other Democratic cities. I think that just highlights that even more. The very interesting article this morning about the New York chapter of Black Lives Matter he turned himself in yesterday for assaulting another black Democrat in New York. So I think that just highlights there that the violence is on their side right now, not ours, and statistics show that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. They just don't count some of the violence that is political violence from the left as political violence, so they cook the books, and I think that's been chronicled very, very well. We're talking with Chris Arps at Chris_Arps on X, and of course, he's a News Talk STL host and on-air personality there, and Newsmax guest, Project 21 ambassador, water cooler, politics, podcaster. What else? You do everything, Chris, everything. Thanks for joining us on Wake Up, Missouri.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris, you've been following the shake-up at ICE and Homeland Security and all, where they say they're going to change out some of the directors of some of the major field offices. I guess there was some speculation. One of the Fox commentators said, what happens if there's a big shake-up between ICE and Border Patrol? Are the illegals going to take advantage and start sneaking back in?
You know, this is something that's been bubbling up for quite a while now. And the president, when he announced that he was going to deport the illegals, they had a certain quota that they wanted to meet every single week, every single month. And fortunately or unfortunately, that quota hasn't been met. And the president and those that are involved with ICE are kind of upset about that because they aren't making the quotas. But if you look at it, with deportations at an all-time high and with people crossing the border illegally at a trickle, there may not be that many people to meet the quotas. So I think that's what a lot of this is about, is these local offices aren't meeting their deportation quotas.
Chris, when we look at the announcement that, and again, this folks may think that talk about Social Security only applies to folks that are 65 years and older, but for folks who are 45, 50, 55, 60, I think they've been paying. Well, their employers have been paying 6.5%, and they're 6.8%. They've been paying 6.8%, something like that, right? I mean, it's incredible the amount of taxes that we pay into the Social Security system. And then you look at the paltry raises, and they just announced that the cost of living increase next year will be 2.8%, which doesn't really cover the inflationary increase. Will there ever be a time when, as George W. Bush tried to do, he just couldn't get it over the line with the Congress then in place, a time where we take our money, make some kind of mandatory retirement tax if you want to, but involve it in the market, and let people privatize those. And I think the returns would be much, much more enhanced that way. Is there a discussion that can ever be had along those lines or not?
With the folks that are retired now and our generation, I'm saying for the folks that are retired now and with our generation who are going to be receiving Social Security in the next 5 to 10 years, I don't think you can make that argument of taking that money, part of your money, and putting it into the stock market to get a better return. But I think with the millennials and Generation Z, I think that argument is a better argument for them. So I don't see that happening for the next 10, 15, 20 years of that type of reform within Social Security, because folks now are concerned about their money being put in the stock market. But I think you can make a credible argument to the younger generation to do that. So
A lot of the litigation in Missouri has been centered around the initiative petition process. I know typically those petitions signature gatherers are collecting in more populated areas. So being in St. Louis, have you been approached by anybody with a clipboard? And what do you make of? I mean, how many of these things do you think we'll actually end up seeing on the ballot?
I have not been approached. I hate to say this, but my wife does the grocery shopping, and that's where usually they hang out. I hate shopping in general, so you're not going to see me probably around places where that happens. But I haven't seen any petition gatherers. They are very motivated. We know that they were collecting hundreds of thousands of signatures, or they were collecting signatures before this was certified. So, and of course, those are going to be thrown out, I hear. But look, the left has a lot of money involved in this, and when you got a lot of money and you can pay people to collect these signatures, I think they'll probably will make the quota that they need to put this on the referendum, put it on the ballot.
And when you're talking about this, you're specifically talking about the referendum to repeal the map.
Correct.
Okay, so we know we'll be voting on abortion, so we may be voting on the map. We got a decision yesterday about the effort to curtail the education funding. And there are many others in court. So you're saying you're not seeing any activity there in St. Louis, but maybe you're missing it. Maybe you're just spending too much time at home cheering on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't go out much, tell you. I'm sure they are collecting signatures, but me personally, I have not seen anybody any of these places. And then on the radio show, we haven't had any people talking about that they've been approached. So maybe they're hitting certain areas.
The clock's ticking.
Drake, I want to ask Drake, I want to tell you, I'm going to use your clip yesterday that we're all good. We found this clip of a young St. Louis woman who previously had been homeless, was really, but sort of rebuking people who are whining and griping about not getting their SNAP benefits. And I'm just wondering what you think. Is this something that is going to just galvanize people on SNAP, or is it going to maybe have them have a second thought about being dependent on the government and maybe the way they can have different options? Listen.
Get your fat up and go out and walk. Then your hip won't be hurting. You won't be so fucking fat, because I used to be 400 pounds. Now that my ass got to walk everywhere, now I'm 186. But anyway.
So she went on for about 4 or 5 minutes and said, look, we know we're going to lose our SNAP benefits, but look, we walk, we sold our car or got repossessed, we take the bus, we walk, I've lost my weight, get off your you-know-what, and get up and, I thought it was an interesting thing from a woman who clearly is not of means, but is rebuking people who have become dependent on the government, saying, look, you got to find a way to go forward rather than have all this dependence. Is that something that it has any value in changing this dependency entitlement idea that I think has become generational in America?
I mean, I hope so. You remember back in 1994 when Republicans took over the Congress and welfare reform was being instituted, and we heard the Democrats saying, oh, my God, we're going to throw people off welfare. There's going to be crime. There's going to be mayhem in the streets. And then what eventually happened was people did what they needed to do, and they went to work and got jobs. People... the human beings are all about survival, and if a person will do whatever they need to survive, if that's illegal or legal means, that will happen. Regarding these SNAP benefits, we talked about this yesterday on the show. Whatever happened to the time when instead of depending on the government for food and for benefits like that, that we came together as a community. People. I think that if there was really a lot of a need out there, and there was a call for people to, give benefits or to buy food for people for food pantries, I think it would go out, and I think we could meet this need.
No doubt about it. Hey, Chris, thank you very much for being with us. Wide-ranging topics today. Chris_Arps on X. Thanks, brother. Great job on the chili supper last week.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone.
Coming up, hey, be careful what you buy at the store to make you feel better. And cancer rates rising in the Corn Belt. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Well, in today's Make Missouri Healthy Again, I think this should be entitled Keep Missouri Healthy Again, especially young people who are experimenting with things that are not regulated, available in retail outlets in Missouri and across the nation that are mind-altering and can be life-ending. Saw this story about a guy who was wanting to do all-natural pain relief or anxiety suppression, and this substance called Kratom, Kratom. You'll see that advertised on billboards and others, and it's marketed as a harmless substance. But there's one component called mitragynine, but I think it's mitragynine. It's really an extract of a plant, and it can be deadly. It's very powerful. It can have respiratory depression. It can cause, in lower doses, nausea, constipation, vomiting. But the story of this 37-year-old guy up in Washington State, apparently a normal kind of a guy, just wanted to do everything all natural. Kratom is marketed as an all natural, in quotes, way to ease pain, anxiety, depression. And ironically, people who think that they're health conscious may end up being, having zero, and I mean zero health. His mother found him dead in the bathroom because the kratom that he got had not had this mitragynine, which is a very, very powerful substance. Apparently had not been extracted out of the kratom, which normally removes it. But it's readily found online, brick and mortar stores, and can be deadly. Manufacturers aren't required to verify if what's listed on the label reflects what's inside the product. And it's among many things that can be deadly. Now, some have said that it's not necessarily the kratom, but it's the contaminants in it that can be problematic. This particular element, though, that can contaminate this substance can be more addicting and much more problematic even than the opioids. So a caution to you if you want to experiment with all natural things. I would just be very, very, very careful. There's some pending legislation in Missouri. They've attempted to pass the Kratom Consumer Protection Act for several years. Hasn't happened. I guess the libertarian in me says, whatever, do what you want to do, but do it at your own risk. I just would beg you, talk to a physician or your nurse practitioner or your, whoever, but about, if you're having some problems and you want to self-medicate, talk to them first before you go down the street to the local, C-store and buy something. I've never even
heard of that stuff.
Kratom. You'll find it in stores.
I've heard of it. I always thought it was just shrooms. Like I thought it was like a psychedelic drug, not medical.
It can be a psychedelic drug, but because it's an alkaloid and the way they extract it, I imagine that there's a less toxic and a more dangerous profile. All medications, including ones that people take that they think are all natural, so they're not taking a medication because it didn't come from pharma.
Can you do that again? Just one more time, please.
It drives me crazy. People take this stuff and think that it's not powerful, and it's less regulated, and it's potentially more dangerous than stuff from pharma. Just be careful.
Spice and K2 and all that stuff.
Yeah,
they still sell over the counter.
Just be careful, guys and gals.
What was Kanye doing?
He was doing Galaxy Gas.
Not great.
Back with more in a few. Stay tuned.
headquarters.
I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China.
It's your morning addiction.
This movement is about ensuring the power always remains where it belongs, with us, the people.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
This makes no sense that this is what the American people are getting from the Trump administration in the middle of a shutdown.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
I mean, he's just like the true Chiefs chief. I mean, he is the guy that's been here through the whole thing, been here with Coach Reed the entire time, and he helped set the culture. You know, he helped set the culture of what it means and to play for Coach Reed and to play in Kansas City. And I was able to come in and have that guy to rely on. And so he's breaking all the records now. And he's all about the team. So I want to make sure he gets that. And hopefully we can get another football for him later in the season when he actually breaks the record.
Well, there's Patrick Mahomes talking about Travis Kelce after another successful night for the Chiefs. And Kelce had a great evening. One pass bounced off him and, got intercepted. I don't hold that against him. He had a good day.
You keep bringing it up like you're cranky about it.
We didn't see a lot of Taylor Swift. I didn't see any Taylor Swift last night. Maybe that's why he's playing better. He's not distracted because he's not seeing her up in the sky booth, Mm-hmm. And he used to do that. He would look up there and, bat his eyes. Well.
No, he's not distracted. He played super well last night.
Drake Whitman, if you were Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift is up in the skybox, wouldn't that potentially modify your play a little bit? I mean, come on.
Taylor Swift isn't that hot. Let's talk about the facts here. If I'm an NFL star and you have people like Justin Herbert with a model, Josh Allen with a model. A lot of people are dating models and actresses.
Yeah, but they aren't models who are worth $1 billion like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, so he's a gold digger.
But
he's a gold digger.
So once it was explained,
go for it.
Once it was explained to me, like if you're in any sort of like male-female relationship and the woman like goes to grab your bicep or whatever, men automatically kind of flex up or whatever.
Up, sure.
So yeah, when she's at the game, he's trying to flex and show off. So I think like there's more incentive for him to play well when she's there.
Well, I think you're right. They could go both ways, though. I mean, it could go. You could tense up and be so. You could over try, and then you miss because you're just not relaxed and you're not comfortable. You're not in your zone because you're just not feeling the same groove.
Well, he's now tied
but he's doing good.
The record for most touchdowns by someone in the Chiefs uniform. So
I love the way he caught that pass out in the flat on the right sideline there and just ran down. I mean, he lumbered down there, moved along pretty well. How old is he?
I have no
38? What if?
Yeah, he's in his 30s.
39. I mean, he
mid-30s for sure.
Moved along pretty
36. Good. You guys are aging
moved along
him.
pretty good. That's considered getting up there for an NFL player, yeah?
Yeah, I miss his Killa Trav days. I really do. And that's kind of why I dislike Taylor Swift. I miss when he was a gangster. I miss when he would start fights in the end zone and be just such a fun player to watch.
Yeah.
Now he's chilled out.
Well, it's fun to watch what Donald Trump is doing overseas. He was dancing with the Malaysian, welcoming dancers, native dancers. He signs agreements for critical minerals with Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and now with Japan. Japan's Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, I think is her name. She's all over it with the golden age of our relationships. He'll be meeting with President Xi of China in South Korea reportedly later this week. And again, John, it seems as though American presidents almost have a no-fail when it comes to foreign policy, whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's almost anyone except Joe Biden. But they do well there because they have a lot more leeway, a lot wider lane to travel. They don't have to worry about a Congress appropriating money and courts questioning their executive order. They have a lot of leeway there, and so they can look pretty good on the international stage. He's taking perfect advantage of that. Meanwhile, constructing a huge new ballroom that'll house, almost 1,000 people at a state dinner. So that's a little bit of a healthy distraction while that demolition goes on and the construction begins.
Some have questioned the timing on it with the shutdown, but he's quick to point out that it's private donations paying for the ballroom.
And by the way, I saw a story, speaking of this East Wing demolition, how do you feel about that, folks? 573-874-9390. Let us know. I'm actually okay with it because I think it gives us a bigger footprint on the world stage, certainly a footprint that doesn't even match China. But China, look, is an up-and-coming rival, and in many areas, critical mineral mining and extraction, they're kicking our butt. And there's other places where they're really outpacing us. We hear the electric cars are really much more value-driven compared with even Tesla. They're cheaper, they run well, I hear, and giving us a run for our money. But so you're competing with the Chinese, let's be honest about it. So when you're having state dinners and you're trying to woo foreign leaders to your side of the fence so that you can get friendly with them, keep them on the side of the West and not China, I think it's important to be able to provide those amenities and have that kind of a majesty and grandeur. I mean, that's just the reality of the world.
Yeah, and they said before, I mean, the only way they'd be able to host that many people is in tents outside, and with what we know about recent events, it's not secure and it's not safe. And I saw a report that back in 2010, 2011, in the Obama years, that then, reality TV star and real estate developer Donald Trump actually contacted David Axelrod and said that very thing. And this was reported to a reporter, or David Axelrod told a reporter that Trump told him, hey, you're housing these big events, these big state dinners in those SH tents, and let me show you what a ballroom's like. Come down to Florida. That's what I do. I build big, grand ballrooms. He was begging to provide that and to do that. I didn't know if he was going to pay for it or not, but he wanted to do that. So it's not like this is something new and egocentric and megalomaniacal on his part. I mean, it might be a little egocentric, but
well, it's not. But it's not.
Is anything that Trump does not?
Okay, yeah, but it's not new. I'm the president egocentric. It's nothing new.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's an America First kind of an initiative. I disagree with it being called the Trump Ballroom. I don't think it should be called that. I don't think the portal to drugs through AstraZeneca and Serrano and others should be called Trump RX. I think it should be, whatever, some generic name. That's fine. That's where I disagree there. Do the deed. You'll get the credit in the history books. It doesn't need to have your name on it. You disagree?
No, I mean, I think that's probably right. I think even if he didn't officially put his name on it, it'd still be probably called the Trump Ballroom because he's the one that built it. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure maybe Democrats, if once they get in control, they'll officially rename it or something. Now they're threatening that they'll tear it down.
No, I haven't heard. Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, these people are off of their rockers. Well, speaking of off their rockers, yes, they are off their rockers.
There was a little bit of a seismic shift in politics. All of you noticed it over the weekend. We saw our clearest sign yet that this radical insurgent movement in the Democrat Party is succeeding. And they are ending what has always been known as the Democrat Party in America. After a months-long pressure campaign from the far left, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries finally relented. He gave in, and he gave his endorsement to the socialist running to be mayor of New York City.
So Sombrero Jeffries endorses Momkami. I mean, that's interesting. They had been really keeping more than an arm's distance, Democrat leaders. Now you've got Sombrero Jeffries who's endorsing this Momkami. This guy who wants rent control, free buses, government supermarkets, grocery stores, hates the police, endorses global jihad before he doesn't endorse it. I mean, the guy is just the most chameleon ever, shapeshifter. And I think for a Democrat leader who's third in the chain of command, right? It's president, vice president, and then the Speaker of the House, correct? And that's a frightening thing to me. They are now becoming the Democrat Socialist Party of America.
Well, you got Bernie in there. He endorsed Mondami and Elizabeth Warren, and go right down the list. AOC, they're all endorsing him.
Yeah, I can see Sanders and AOC endorsing him, and but man.
But again, is it that bad for us? And I think
it's great.
a lot of conservatives, I think, are in that position, in that that kind of stuff might fly in New York City, but pushing the rest of the party nationally to that crazy left-wing positioning, it isn't going to fly anywhere else in the country. And so for the midterms, is it that bad for us?
Yeah, I haven't seen latest polling on the midterms. I know people are mad at both parties at this point, but I think at this point, when you have the American Federation of Government Employees coming out and pretty much spanking the Democrats, saying, come on, guys, let's open the government. They're the ones that are now in control of whether or not the government reopens or not.
Well, I think Polymarket does have a, it already has a poll up about the sweeps. 23% for a Democrat sweep, 36% for a Republican sweep, 43%, well, this is easy, for a Republican Senate and a Democrat House is where we're at now.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But
much
Republican
easier.
sweep is higher currently than Democrat sweep.
Wow. Well, yeah. I
By
mean,
quite a
right
bit.
now, this end game on how Johnson plays this thing is important. I think he ought to call the House back in. I think they ought to do some things like they ought to do continual daily votes on paying military, TSA, air traffic controllers, whatever. Do something like that. Just keep doing that, but have it very restrictive. Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, Senator Johnson sponsored a federal employees pay bill, but it was only not for furloughed employees, just for those who were working through the shutdown. And the Democrats found that unacceptable. But I like that. I think that's fair. If you're not working, you shouldn't get paid, but you'll get back pay. That's okay. But those who are working should get paid. And the Democrats rejected it because it's an all or nothing with these Democrats.
And if I look at the prediction markets since the shutdown started, I mean, it started to kind of divide right there at the shutdown where more people were saying Republicans are going to sweep since October. So if you look at oftentimes polls are wrong on exact numbers, but when you look at the movement, right, more people are feeling confident about Republican control since the shutdown, which we've seen even the national news having to report because that's where the folks are.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's looking better now than it did a few months ago. We'll have to see if they open the government, though. There's so little time now to rethink and reform and re-engineer and finally maybe get it right in terms of national health care policy because they were going to have 6 weeks to do that. But now, what do they have, 2 weeks maybe? I mean, the way things are going, 1 week, few days. So then we're just going to be up against another deadline and we'll have the same old, same old.
Potentially. And then everyone's mad.
I'm not mad at this prospect, though. Look at this one. Here's Trump on his gaggle on the way to Asia.
I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers. If you read it, am I not ruling it out? You'll have to tell me. All I can tell you is
he's talking about not ruling out running in 28.
They don't. They have Jasmine Crockett, a low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test. Have her pass like the exams that I decided to.
And every time he talks about who's going to run in 28, after he jokes about he'd love to do it, he talks about J.D. Vance and Rubio, and he mentions them both in the same breath. Sometimes as candidates, sometimes as partners in that campaign. We'll have to see where it happens and where it goes. I think them against anyone on the left that we see now, except Gavin Newsom. He's slick. He could be dangerous. Back with more in 5. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
You'll want to stay with us at 7:35 when Jefferson City Mayor Ron Fitzwater joins us. Low turnout expected next week on a lodging tax to fund a new convention center there. Springfield Lodging Association as well are endorsing an increased hotel and tax there, lodging tax. So these are on the ballot in both of our listening areas. And it turns out that Ron's going to, I think, want to talk about what the Show Me Institute has said, and rebut that, right? Because city officials say, no, we need these. Show Me Institute, David Stokes was with us last week, said, these things are built. The taxpayers hold the bill, and sometimes they're underutilized. They end up being albatrosses. I think of the downtown convention center next to the now sort of defunct, used to be the TWA Dome, and then it was some other dome and some other dome. So, John, we'll see what Mayor Ron has to say at 7:35.
Yeah, we had the proprietors and developers a couple weeks ago on the Saturday show of another of the owners of several other Jefferson City hotels, and they've talked about building their own conference center on the old Truman Hotel site in Jefferson City, but even they pointed to about a 50% occupancy rate. And when we had the folks from Show Me Institute on, they said the magic number to make convention centers and conference centers work is more like 60% occupancy.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be a decent argument on the other side. We'll hear that from Mayor Fitzwater, I'm sure. And
it's a marketing challenge as much as anything.
I'm wondering, Trump's going to be, we're going to have the Trump ballroom. Is it going to be the Fitzwater Olive Garden? Bringing the Olive Garden to Jefferson City is a legacy defining. Yeah.
If the garden was the caterer, that might flip my vote for sure. I don't know.
Maybe if we attach the Olive Garden to the conference center.
We were talking about the crazy people on the left, and I caught this clip of these delusional, lost, just totally rudderless young people who are involved in these protests. They don't even know why.
What crimes have they committed?
Trump?
Yeah, the ones in the Oval Office. What crimes have those people committed?
You want to look it up on Wikipedia? There's like a list.
Now, his sign says they need to be put in jail because of the crimes that they've committed, right?
Well, you made the sign, so I'm asking you.
It's true. I'm at a protest, though.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything. I'm here for my community.
Okay, so you make a sign about people being criminals, but you don't know what you made it for?
All right, so I make a sign supporting my community and the people in it. Yeah. And I'm not ashamed.
I know. You shouldn't be ashamed of your sign. I'm just asking what crimes they have committed.
I don't have to list them to you. You can simply look it up.
Have you done research? It's all over the media. Yeah, so I was just asking him, he's holding the sign, if he could just tell me what crimes people in the Oval Office have committed. You're holding it, so I thought maybe you could give it to me quickly.
I'm good.
What crime?
So herd mentality and mass hysteria is one of the most damaging and threatening things to a civilized society. We saw it in the Nazi regime. And I'm not saying that No Kings protesters are the same, but this is what happens with mass hysteria. And it's just amazing. Mayor Ron Fitzwater of Jefferson City at 7:35.
I think just local news is like the most important stuff to me, even though it's
So when it's not a general election or a really highly publicized, statewide election, these local and municipal issues do bubble to the top. Sadly, they don't get a lot of play and they don't get a lot of voter turnout. But there's some important ones. Springfield Lodging Association is endorsing a hotel-motel tax increase in Springfield. Jefferson City, Stephanie, they're proposing
talking about renewing the lodging tax, and that's been an issue for a long time. They've been charging, John, it's 7%. They've been charging it for how many years? And people are saying we've been paying and paying and paying, and the debate over the conference center has raged on and ebbed and flowed. But one thing's for sure, we don't have a conference center. So folks are saying, the question is, should we keep paying this?
So when people's personal, purse strings are tight, national numbers say that turnouts at conventions seem to be heading a little bit south, and we don't know whether that's a transient trend or on. We continue to see these issues bubble up. So we'll see what Mayor Ron Fitzwater has to say. Ron, welcome into the program.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
So, last week we talked to David Stokes from Show Me Institute, great, small, limited government think tank that says, hey, you guys got to think this over, because is there really a need for it? And if you build it, will they come? They're not really coming now like they used to. And is that the motivation behind a city-sponsored convention center, or what's driving it?
Well, what's driving it is we're the capital city. We don't have a quality meeting facility in this town to address the needs of our community. I think John mentioned one of our facilities that's been out of service for over a decade was recently torn down. We've got another facility that is struggling right now. They're not large enough to handle some of the groups that would like to come here, but the main goal is to build a facility where the 120 associations that are based in this community, if they want to bring their meeting to their hometown, have the ability. We talk to state government. They take meetings to the lake and out of town. They would be excited to be able to do meetings here in town. During the legislative session, this town is buzzing. There are people in town. There are political fundraisers. There's legislative meetings. Business community is coming to town. So there's just a lot of activity in our community. And this wasn't a spur of the moment. We had been looking at building a conference center for decades, even dating back when those other two facilities were booming at full speed. There was a need for, and shown by the local leaders, for a nice facility that could handle a little bit larger meetings. Problem is, we've never been able to put it together, and we have worked very diligently to put together a package I think the community is going to be proud of, and it will not be paid for by locals. It will be paid for by a whole host of sources. The lodging tax, a very small piece of it.
Well, and I think one of those events that, I could see moving to Jefferson City right now, we get on the statewide Lincoln Day circuit, and it rotates between St. Louis, Kansas City, and Springfield. And I think the reason why we haven't hosted it in mid-Missouri is there's really not a facility currently that we could host it at. So that's, potentially a pickup, right?
Absolutely. And not only are we not hosting events that could come here, we have lost events that we just don't have the facilities of the quality people are looking for. So we think this will be one of those rising tides that's going to benefit all ships. All players in town are going to benefit. The economic impact to our downtown is going to be staggering. We've got the best location that we can find. We're 2 blocks from the Capitol. We're across the street from the governor's mansion. We have restaurants. We have shops. We have bars. We have other facilities for folks that attend events at this facility. And it's just disingenuous for some of the folks to shoot from the hip and say it's not going to be successful when we know it's going to be successful. The complaints we're going to get is, why didn't you build it bigger? I can't get my meeting in the week I want. And we're going to have those challenges, and those will be great challenges to have.
Ron, is there room in Jefferson City for two conference centers? Because I know the Fury guys, when we had them on the air, the owners of the DoubleTree and several other hotels, talked about their down-the-road plan is maybe to develop their own conference center on the old Truman Hotel property. Is there a market there, enough business for two?
That would be up to them, how they plan on marketing a facility. We think something downtown where you can park your car, you can get to the Capitol, you can get to the other facilities that I discussed without having to get out on the streets. So we think that is the ideal location. I mean, they had been talking, I guess they talked about it back when they first bought the property, and, you know, they built the Holiday Inn there, which is a very nice hotel, and had plans for a conference center and a hotel, but it has never come to fruition. Now, I know we went through COVID, we went through things that slowed down their progress, but, I mean, we're coming out of it as an economy. They have made no move toward wanting to build that facility until this one looked like it was a reality, and then all of a sudden we're getting this flurry of opposition. This has been wide open for anybody to come in, and we would have welcomed anybody that wanted to come in and build a conference center in the capital city. No one stepped up, so we have been diligently working. I mean, we're standing on the shoulders of other mayors, other councils that have done a lot of heavy lifting to get us to this point, and it's not a new concept that just come up. It has been bubbling out in our community for decades. No one has stepped up from the private sector, so we have put together a plan that I think benefits this community, does not burden the community for new tax dollars, and puts a beautiful facility in our town that is going to be a benefit for generations.
So again, this we're talking with Mayor Ron Fitzwater from Jefferson City concerning the proposed extension of a lodging tax for 35 years. Is that 35-year mark designed to cover the capital costs and ongoing costs for the life of this center?
Yeah, actually, it'll extend it from 2035 to 2060.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just gives us an additional leverage point. I mean, we have got professionals like Stiefel and other folks helping us put what's called the capital stack, the financing package together. It's like buying a house and being able to prove that you've got income streams for the years of the loan. So the more leverage points you can have, the better interest rate you can get, the better deal that you can put together if council decides that this is the direction we're going. Now, I admit we are working very aggressively down the path of building a conference center. This tool of passing the lodging tax benefits the local community because it gives us another leverage point in trying to work the best package that we can in financing this project.
It's a powerful rebuttal to the generic opposition that is voiced by the Show Me Institute when they've been with us on several occasions. I do need to ask you about, and I think, you know, you make an argument that because of the capital city draw and the fact that professional associations are likely to want to have influence or rub shoulders with or be around when the legislature's in session, that you could see that lane perhaps being a more powerful argument than a non-capital city. Is there, when you talk to, your fellow mayors from other capital cities, is there sort of some empiric evidence on the ground that this kind of a model works?
I haven't talked to them directly, but I pay a lot of attention when I travel. I mean, Nashville is not a good comparison because they've got the music industry and they've got so many other things going on. But they had a downtown convention center. They built the Opryland project, which is, I don't know, I guess 10 miles out of town, killed their downtown, and then come back in and rebuilt it and build another convention center downtown. So Nashville is one I look at, and again, we can't compete with Nashville, but just looking at the way that they were able to rebuild their downtown through a convention center. I mean, you look at Charleston, West Virginia. I mean, I try to look at capital cities. I lived in Columbia, South Carolina. We had a very nice center there. You know, obviously a university, a capital city. If we didn't have the dome here, if we didn't have a built market here, yeah, I would agree. This does not make sense for a city our size, maybe. but this is the capital city. We do have people that want to come here. We've got a beautiful new soccer complex that we just cut the ribbon on. There are people that want to come to this community. We've got businesses coming in and saying, you guys are doing something exciting there. We want to be a part of it. You referenced Olive Garden. We've worked for a long time to get Olive Garden, and I would be the last one to say that I was the one that pushed them over the top. What I will say, though, is my motto when I come in 2023 is we're open for business. We're trying to do things different and attract people to this community, and it's working. You see construction all over this town, and I think this facility will just be another feather in our cap of things that we can do for our community, things that we can do for the business community, for the state, that will be exciting. And once it's up and it's operating, it'll be like, wow, why didn't we do this 5-10 years ago?
All right. Well, there is a powerful rebuttal to what is some opposition from, I guess, erstwhile think tanks and otherwise. Ron, you'd probably agree with a lot of philosophically of what Show Me says, right?
I absolutely do. It's a legitimate organization. I always chuckle. I look back at what Reagan used to talk about, that an economist is someone that takes what works in practice and sees if it works in theory. And that's not exactly the model here, but sometimes you just have to trust people. And look, we have spent a lot of time. I've spent over 1,000 hours working on this project over the years.
Yeah.
And we're not just shooting from the hip.
Right.
We think we put together a good package.
Well, no, those who know Mayor Ron, except for his egregious parking ticket fines down there, is a staunch, small government conservative. So, I'm kidding you, Ron.
I absolutely do. And I appreciate you letting us get our side out.
Oh, no.
I have deep respect for the Show Me Institute.
Yeah.
Sometimes the boots on the ground, you got to live it. You have to be a part of it, and we live it.
Well, you're a stand-up guy for coming on and making a powerful argument in favor of this ballot issue on November 4th to extend the Jefferson City lodging tax for that convention center that's Ron's worked laboriously on for a long, long time. Hey, Ron, best of luck next week in that bond issue or that ballot issue. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, there he is. Ron always answers the tough questions. He's always answering the tough questions. Gotta hand it to him. What's coming up, John?
They call him Ray, the Samsonite kitty cat.
Okay, well, we'll see if there's a handle on that when we come back. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up
And that would be all. Except for this.
Ray Ray the cat clearly did not want to be left behind when his family left their home in Kittanning, Pennsylvania, real name, for New Hampshire. After driving 100 miles, Tony DiNardo, Ray Ray's owner, stopped the family van for a bathroom break and discovered the cat clinging on the roof of the vehicle.
Oh, my gosh.
How did this cat stay on there, wondered Tony's wife, Margaret, and he was completely unfazed. Family believes Ray Ray lodged himself in between the suitcases strapped to the van's top as they sped along the interstate. They pulled over at a pet store, got him a leash, a harness, a backpack, and food, and he was part of the adventure. They carried him across the finish line at a marathon in Keene, New Hampshire, and Ray Ray seemed to really like Times Square at night, Margaret said of their stop in New York City. Here's the real teller on the story. She plans to write a children's book about Ray Ray's adventure.
That's making a silver lining out of a cloud, isn't it? Isn't that
There
great?
you go.
All I
Take
can
the
imagine.
cat with you on vacation.
Wow.
I have this horrible fear. I hate driving behind a vehicle with a bunch of junk in the back, big logs or anything else. I'm just like, one of those is going to fall off and hit me. And I'm just thinking, you're driving down the highway and all of a sudden a cat splats on your windshield. And you're like, where did that
What was a National Lampoon vacation movie where they left the dog tied to the bumper by his leash?
It's like the opposite of Home Alone. You get an extra one on your vacation.
That cat, splayed out on your windshield. That's like a Warner Brothers cartoon picture,
They say cats have 9 lives. I think that cat probably used one up on his cross-country
At least
vacation.
one, yeah.
Now, that's one kind of undocumented immigrant to New York City we can all be okay with, right?
And Ray Ray's a cute name for a cat.
I like that, Ray Ray.
I wonder if he was an American domestic or perhaps Ray Ray was a Siamese and had to have a green card,
Oh, man.
Or not.
Do you have pets? You don't vacation with your pets, do you?
Oh, no. Although more and more places are hospitable to animals, right?
Yeah, like lots of hotels when you check in, they'll have like dog treats and water bowls and
It's getting to where, and you have to pay a differential for those kind of places. But boy, the cost of boarding an animal is just getting outrageous. So it's almost like maybe it's worth locating those kind of places to stay.
Hence why I don't have pets.
Yeah. Now, if you were to have a pet, would you be a cat or a dog person? If it was just like a word from God came down and said, Stephanie, you must have an animal.
I think I would have a cat.
Yeah? Why?
Because they're like lazy and they just like
self-supporting. Right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't have good luck with hamsters.
I do not have good luck with hamsters. The kids were recounting that the other night for me and they were giggling. We're not good with, we did do well with the fish once. But growing up, I had cats and dogs. So, but dogs are a lot of work, I think.
Drake, you have cats?
Yeah, we have cats, dogs, birds.
Horses.
We have a whole zoo.
Have you ever seen these? My daughter-in-law, when we first met her out a little north of Sacramento, we were out there and when she and Sean were dating, and they introduced me to this kind of a cat called a ragdoll cat. Have you ever heard of those?
No.
They're huge. I mean, they're like mutant cats. They're like 45, 50 pounds, huge cats. And they're so sweet. They act like dogs. They followed the family around like, they responded to commands. Most cats are like, I'm in control here. No, staying on the couch.
Yeah.
And then this cat laid on its back while they vacuumed it. I mean,
oh yeah, they shed like nobody's
ragdoll cats are amazing. I thought, man, if we ever get a cat, I want it to be a ragdoll. They're really big, fluffy things. I mean, a cat that you can vacuum. No cat would tolerate that. It's so cool. And I don't think this was a one-off. I think this is the nature of the breed.
in my lifetime. And that, of course, would be the internment of 120,000 Japanese Americans during World War II.
So Dick Durbin has gone full McConnell. I mean, he's comparing the ICE agents getting criminal, violent illegals off of our streets and out of our country to the internment of 120,000 Japanese Americans. Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri, the third hour, on another overcast, sort of typical, now really does feel like fall day in Missouri. I'm Randy Tobler, along with Stephanie Bell, John Marsh, and Drake Whitman. Our number is 573-874-9390 if you want to text and comment on the goings-on of the day. If you want to call, that's 800-529-5572. And boy, I mean, these Democrats just sound desperate. The comparisons they're making, the things they're saying. Yesterday, we played an AOC at a Momkami rally that was just like a Howard Dean scream moment. I got to get that back. That was a wonderful. I mean, these people are just making fools of themselves. They just seem to be floundering, looking for some solid, hook to get the public by, Stephanie, and nothing seems to be holding. And you were talking about the polling for the midterms, not looking bad right now.
It's not bad.
Compared to historic.
Yeah, the prediction markets are showing an increase in betting on a Republican sweep. And so, yeah, I mean, since the shutdown, it seems to be not affecting Republicans, according to, again.
So we have Dick Durbin calling ICE officials doing their work that they were forbidden from doing, essentially, for 4 years. The equivalent of the internment, officials during the World War II. And then you got AOC.
Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country.
Yeah! It's like all you need is the Dean scream on the end of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they sound they don't sound, they are hysterical.
They are.
There's no other way to describe this. Is there?
But, I mean, she's got a crowd of people there who are screaming and yelling alongside her.
Equally hysterical
with their signs.
Aren't you glad, though?
Explain.
Aren't you glad they're going to do the experiment in New York City, though? And it's not like we don't have, and hopefully Americans will watch that and the media will at least partially report on it. That's the problem. They won't report honestly, the legacy media. And hopefully that will really seal the deal for once and for all, at least for a while, on socialism is not good for America.
You would hope, but no, I'm not excited about that. No. And I because it's going to take us a long time to turn around New York City, and the health of our large cities is important to our whole country. And so letting it be, taken over by a communist socialist, I think is a bad idea. The problem, I mean, again, as Republicans, we have, or even like non-crazy people, we have a little bit of problem with candidate selection. I mean, in that race in particular, and that's something we need to work on. But yeah, if we're looking, I went back to the prediction markets, and I'm just looking at who will win the House in 2026. And if we go back to August, it was showing 71% of folks thought the Democrat Party would win the House, and here
2.5 months ago.
Yeah, 2.5 months ago, and it actually dropped all the way down to just 58%.
Wow.
In later October. It's back up to about 61% today, but certainly trending in the right direction.
Wow. But I think we always have to watch ourselves against too much swag, right?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the problems with the midterms as well, and we talked about it with Mayor Ron Fitzwater and the local votes that are about to happen, is turnout, right? I mean, turnout in these off-cycle big elections, even in the midterms, down from the presidential, you got to look at like who's motivated to get out and get their people to the polls.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big question. And we've got some big elections coming up next Tuesday, right? So whether we're talking Virginia or New Jersey, I think the redistricting maps in California are on the ballot out there. I think that's going to say a lot about who's motivated to get to the polls. And unfortunately, Democrats are motivated by this anger hysteria. And that tends to motivate people when they're real mad to get in and vote people out.
There is a potential brewing problem within the conservative ranks. And let's just call it the Republican movement. And that is the folks who question over involvement. I'm going to try to position this gently. People on the right who, and not all of them are wild-eyed Candace Owens type, who question how deeply and how long and how unswervingly we should back whatever Bibi Netanyahu does in Israel. There's a strong core of the former MAGA movement who are suspicious of and now increasingly worried about our involvement with Israel. And they're called anti-Semites immediately, which I think is unfair criticism. They're saying, wait a minute, this little postage stamp of a country over there, and now that we have a lot of friends in the Arab world, let's be careful about throwing all in with no questions asked. And immediately, many people in MAGA world and Trump world say, what are you talking about? We're fully behind. So there's a growing rift there, right?
Yeah, and Megyn Kelly recently addressed this as well and said she's taken a lot of heat for not commenting about Candace Owens' her comments and disavowing some of that stuff. And now she's getting called an anti-Semite because she won't say bad stuff about Candace. And she said, I'm not going to do it, right? And she said, it's okay to ask questions and it's okay to love Jews and support Jews here at home and across the globe and still raise legitimate questions about our involvement. And she says she's getting a lot of heat from that. I think it's part of the problem. I mean, one of the problems the Republicans have right now is we have a really big tent. We brought a lot of new people into the movement in the last many years, and we don't agree on every issue. And I find that to be healthy. I think having an ongoing discussion about a whole host of topics, whether we're talking on the international stage or locally or at the state level. And again, we've seen a lot of disagreement at the state level amongst our Republican Party. I don't think having the big tent and having that discussion is bad. But again, we have to, I think as long as we stay focused on the policy and we're having discussions about these important issues rather than just hating on Trump or hating. I mean, I think the risk is we just hate on Mamdani because he's Mamdani. We have to continue to hate him for his bad policies. And
right? I think
we're doing a good job of that.
I think those who are critical, hypercritical, and cancel anyone who questions our support of Israel, pretty much without question, are probably maybe misrepresenting what people that say it's whether it's Ukraine or whether it's Israel or whether it's Japan or whether it's Taiwan. I think it's a general philosophy of, hey, let's really ask very important questions about, is it in our national security interest to support country A or B or C or D or E, right? And it's not so much throwing a harpoon at Israel. It's just saying Israel is one of many countries that we would love to support because they're doing a lot of good things. But do we have the financial might? Should we continue to borrow money from China and print money? That I think that's a legitimate question. I think canceling those people, that doesn't help the movement, and it doesn't really discuss the policy issue well.
Well, one big thing, that I don't know, they haven't discussed that much, and we're still a year out from the midterms, but that's the role that we've watched historically in the swing vote play. Mm-hmm. In those midterms, especially in years followed by a presidential election, when you've got a 2, 3, 4% swing, it goes to one bunch of guys and they go over the top like we saw go down with the last midterms. It didn't go the way of the folks in the red T-shirts.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's been a strength of the conservative movement for so long, is that we can have those disagreements within the movement. And I think there are a lot of conservatives out there right now who are frustrated, be it at the state level or at the federal level, where, people are saying, unless you're 100% behind Trump and you don't, and you don't disagree with him on anything, then you're not a real Republican, right? I think that is a risk for us, because I think the strength, I mean, I think we've seen that for a long time on the Democrat side, and the strength with us is that we can have those discussions.
Yeah.
And so, I think that it's a legitimate question of like where, I mean, we ask it a lot, where is the Democrat Party going? But also like, where is the conservative movement going? If there is a post MAGA, or will it continue to go straight MAGA? I think I think one risk I see is a lot of folks are letting how does the federal government interact with the state government? And whether we're talking about sending troops into various states, whether we're talking about legislating big issues like abortion from the federal level, it seems like a lot of conservatives have suddenly become okay with more control in the federal government. And I think that's getting away from our core principles. And I think that's a larger discussion and a risk for our movement, because I think ultimately, a lot of people are conservative because they like to be governed locally or by the state.
Another big one to watch is the president's approval rating. We've seen that, when his any president's approval rating is way up there, the fewer losses the party experiences when the president's a popular guy.
Well, that's right. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I really got very tired of the anti-Israel sentiment, either on the left or with those in the right, who were buying hook, line, and sinker, without question, the numbers of civilian deaths in Gaza. I just don't believe. Where did they get those numbers? From the United Nations? From Hamas? Now, were there reports that appear to be valid that there were missteps of individual Israeli troops, IDF troops, where maybe American troops did that in Vietnam and they got prosecuted for it. But that doesn't mean you reject the whole notion that, hey, Hamas started this thing on October 7th, and Bibi needs to finish it. And is there going to be some ugliness in the fog of war? Yeah, probably so, especially when your opposition uses human shields. They're civilians, right? And furthermore, are we giving the weapons to Israel? Not that I know. They're buying them. Whereas with Ukraine, it's like some kind of a loan, like you think you're going to get repaid, really? I think they are two different things. But to ask the larger question of how much should we support foreign countries, just as a general philosophical question, doesn't make you an anti-Semite. It doesn't make you an we gotta be careful about painting people within our own party in a negative manner.
I think that's fair.
Well, let's see what's happening in the markets when we come back with the Morning Bell. Stephanie brings that in 5. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
There's the morning bell. How the market's looking?
Very good. The S&P and the Nasdaq soared to record highs on the heels of an announcement from Trump that he said he's going to get a deal with China after his meeting with Xi Jinping on Thursday. We are also, this is apparently a fact from the Carson Group. Today, October 28th, has been the best day of the entire year for stocks since 1950. So normally we would expect a little bit of a, I think, a correction today after seeing markets soar yesterday, but all of the futures are in the green this morning. And of course, yesterday, the Nasdaq closed up 1.86%, S&P up 1.23%, the Dow up 0.71%. And yeah, everything's looking good so far today. So it'd be a good day to check your portfolio. When we're looking at the big gainers yesterday, it was among consumer discretionary, technology, and communication services. I saw this interesting article. We've been talking about energy, and I think a lot at the state level, right, Randy? You talked to Cindy O'Loughlin yesterday about energy needs, and we are hearing this morning that Google is teaming up with NextEra, an energy company, to revive a shuttered nuclear plant that's in Iowa. And so Google announced this new partnership with Iowa's only nuclear plant, which had closed in 2020, and it's expected to reopen by 2029 to power Google's AI and cloud operations with clean, round-the-clock nuclear energy. And of course, we covered Missouri had a nuclear energy summit some months ago that was really well attended, I think sparked a lot of interest. And so I think it's also of note that Missouri has put out an RFP for a comprehensive state energy plan. And that
that's interesting.
It is. So today is the closing date for that RFP. Wow. So outside groups, vendors can bid on that project in writing this energy plan. So folks have probably already been working on their submissions for the RFP.
What's the deliverable? I mean, would this be an energy producing company or a consulting company?
I think more of a consulting company. So so the RFP itself cites the two new executive orders from the federal government and says to optimally meet changing circumstances, the Missouri DNR, which has a division of energy, intends to pursue an up-to-date comprehensive state energy plan.
Wow.
So, I wonder if nuclear will be a part of that.
Oh, it better be. I mean, I'm sorry. I know that I think as a bridge to nuclear, we do need to rejuvenate and recognize the value of fossil fuel plants, right? Whether it's coal or whether it's natural gas, as Cindy O'Loughlin has referenced. But I mean, the future, especially with the incredible, enormous demand coming down the pike. Well, it's here for AI and the data centers. It's just, it has to be nuclear. I see no other way forward.
So the U.S. Energy Information Administration projected that power consumption will hit record highs over the next 2 years. And this new agreement in Iowa between Google and NextEra includes a 25-year power purchase deal for this shuttered nuclear plant, but also a framework to explore additional nuclear projects nationwide. And so I think it's interesting having Missouri develop this plan at the same time, because obviously we're competing against these other states for nuclear. And I think we need to set ourselves up for where we could be open for business.
We need to do less exploring and more building. We need to be doing nuclear at the speed of Trump. I'm telling you, this is the future. It's got to happen. When we come back, what would you do without the internet if it went offline? 8:35.
Has America been fair to
is trying to form a Y wall, but it's probably not going to have time to do that. Maybe we'll end up with a slightly weaker top wind. I don't know. We'll see what the hurricane hunters say. It's an extremely impressive looking hurricane on that satellite.
Well, that's the Fox weather feed talking about Hurricane Melissa, which is going to be catastrophic for, well, most, if not all, of Jamaica, and then maybe move on to Haiti and parts of Cuba, maybe Bahamas, depending on the course of it. But man, this is like going to be the epic of all time hurricanes if you listen to the reporting up until now, and we'll see. It's 30 inches of rain to slam Jamaica, 100+ mile per hour winds, mudslides, just it's coming up from the south there, and so I guess it's going to be hitting the capital there, Kingston. I don't know.
I saw they were even evacuating the dependents and all from Guantanamo in Cuba.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Boy. Wow. Well, we pray for those people there. It's going to be a disaster, Remember when it hit, was it Puerto Rico years ago, and it just took forever and ever to rebuild, and, just was an ongoing mess down there, so.
And yeah, you and I were we've both been there. It's been some time since I've been there, but the infrastructure there doesn't seem doesn't seem like it's going to fare very well.
Let's just say they don't have the same zoning and construction laws that they do in Cole and Greene and Boone County.
I did see that. I think some people were able to fly out yesterday still, but my understanding is the airport was going to close today.
So imagine it's the morning after the internet. The internet's gone offline. And you might think, as much noise that the internet causes in my head and the incoming, and I can't handle it all, and I'm getting so distractible. You might be wondering, what would you do? Could you order your groceries online and pay them with a check, Stephanie?
If I could find my checkbook.
Would you call into the work with that landline? A glitch at the data center in the U.S. state of Virginia reminded, this is out of The Guardian, out of the UK. Apparently, the technology and the hardware and the infrastructure that really supports the internet is just ancient. It reminds me of the stories you hear about air traffic control, hardware and computers and wiring and stuff. Drake, what would you do without the internet? Would you just, would check in for rehab, in the mental health institution, or what? What would you do?
How would you check in?
That's right. That's right. Honestly, and I'm going to be quite honest. I think I'd be perfectly fine if the internet went down today. If it went down today, we'd go back to, like old school kind of, calling your buddies on the phone and then going to hang out. It's a lot less spontaneous of texting someone, hey, you want to go get lunch today? And then it happens. That's the only thing that affects me.
Well,
he's a farm boy too,
Well, and wasn't it last year where we had an outage in mid-Missouri that you couldn't use your phone or your internet for anything? There was like a tower down or something. And it really, you forget how many of your home devices and other things are attached. And I couldn't make any phone calls. I couldn't get on the internet. It's tough.
So you think, well, you could text someone, but how do the cellular networks work without the internet?
And
would they not? I don't think they'd work, would they?
Some do. The day that we had that outage, everything was down. And so it was really tough to do.
Yeah, wasn't that the CrowdStrike deal last summer where
that might have been
the internet went down, not just here, but pretty much everywhere?
Now, one expert said technically, if we have two networked devices and a router between them, the internet is running. But there is absolutely, says another expert, a lot of concentration happening on the internet. This happens with economics. Just cheaper to run all things in the same place. I don't know.
Would you be okay?
Oh, it'd be blissful. It would be so blissful.
Well, I saw along those lines, there's an article in the Journal this morning about how CEOs are furious about employees texting in meetings, and the CEOs are reporting like they're either like making basically a swear jar for employees who are doing that, and employees are kind of pushing back and saying, look, now that we have these devices, you you, my direct boss, or the company expects me to basically be available 24/7, and they expect an immediate response. So, I'm constantly having to monitor my devices to be the employee you want me to be. But
well, you're right. Airbnb CEO asked his top lieutenants to identify the problems they saw plaguing the company. His name's Brian Chesky. Called it the fester list.
I love that.
Too many weren't present in meetings, checking their phones or laptops. It's a huge problem. But then he had a realization he was guilty of zoning out too. But I think it's sort of a push and pull on this, right? Because you're asking your employees to be connected, to be responsive, to be productive. And a lot of what's driving corporate earnings, 3/4 of the corporate earnings out last week were positive. They were great. Beat expectations, 80%, I think. What's driving that? I mean, at the same time, the Target's laying off white-collar employees. I understand Amazon's going to do that. That's because people are productive at all times. I mean, they're productive at meetings, in the bathroom, everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's a tough balance, right? And I think I've tried various things. If you've got a good idea, let me know. But I do think, when someone's constantly checking their watch or their phone and you're trying to have a conversation with them, it can be distracting. At the same time, a lot of us don't really have a choice and have people that need things quickly, right? So I got my Apple Watch because I thought, okay, if someone's calling or texting and they need something immediate, I can glance at the watch and I'm not then having to pull my phone out. That seems less distracting. You've seen my remarkable writing pad. So when I go into a meeting, I can use that to take notes rather than be typing on my computer. Because I think if you have an iPad or even if you're taking notes in your phone, people think you're, goofing off or you're texting your friends or checking social media. But, for small business owners, I think it can be really tough. Lately, I mean, Randy, my schedule's been pretty crazy lately. I'm sitting in hearings, I'm sitting in depositions, but just because I'm spending all day with one client doesn't mean I don't have other clients or other counsel who need an immediate response on something. So trying to figure out ways to manage that and be respectful and present, and at the same time be meeting all of the demands that are on folks, it can be a real challenge.
Yeah. I struggle with the same thing. I mean, I have patients that have urgent things, and sometimes during break, I'm having to answer and try to manage things that way. We juggle as best we can. But I mean, Jamie Dimon, he said, if you have an iPad in front of me and it looks like you are reading your email or getting notifications, I tell you to close the damn thing. He said this at the Fortune's, Stephanie, Most Powerful Women Summit. Sorry.
I missed it. Where's my invite? Darn it.
Brad Jacobs, the billionaire CEO of building products distributor QXO, had a whole chapter in his book to electric meetings. Chairs might as well be filled with human-shaped cardboard cutouts. By contrast, a distraction-free meeting can be riveting, he argued. So if you ask yourself the question, we sent men to the moon, we beat the Soviet Union, life was okay when we had meetings without all this technology and people were focused at the meeting, and then they went out and they did their business and they made phone calls and they write letters and
heck, look at our little crew here, guys. Look at the late night text messages we shoot back and forth on a regular basis, and I'm literally sitting here going, does Stephanie ever sleep? Yeah. And I mean, we get we do a lot of, hey, who's on at 8:05 tomorrow morning?
But
it's
one
like,
good thing,
it's 10 at night going,
but along that line, I can say the one good thing that would happen if the texts weren't, for all of the positive that Stephanie's texts bring us, it's that dreaded question mark. I would not be unhappy if I didn't see that again. When she asks a question, I'm busy doing something, I don't get back within 5 seconds. It's like, question mark.
Yeah,
I know you don't.
I mean, I think it's something we all have to be mindful of, and as employers, understand, that people might have things outside of the workplace. But I do think, but setting these policies. The other thing I've seen it at is, and it really irked me bad, was I went to a concert and they were like, it's so distracting to see people up with their phones for this song. Everyone put their phone down, and it was like my favorite song, and I wanted to get it on video because as a memory for myself, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it was like, no phone. I mean, they were really strict about it, and I'm like, But I paid to be here, and I like, you know, and now you get to decide whether I can capture it or not. That's frustrating for me.
One thing I do, I know when I'm at a meeting, I will have my laptop or my iPad there to find stuff, right? Questions that come up during a meeting. And if I have to be immersed in something because I see a text that someone's struggling, whatever, I'll usually, you've been there, I'd say, hey, I got to answer this person. This one can't wait, you know. And I think if you give notice when it's something that you're clearly distracted and have to check out for a couple seconds, I think most people understand that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's difficult, I will say, on Zoom meetings and all of those things. You know, oftentimes whatever I'm talking about, so I've got one screen that's, you know, my face talking on the call, and I have two screens, of course, you know, is looking at documents or going through different things, right? And so it's something you have to manage yourself and have a little bit of self-control, but it's, I think, difficult when we're being flooded with notifications.
Are the social aspects of our brains evolving to keep up with our technology? I don't think they are. I think we just are struggling to manage it all. I think
it depends on how old you are, I think, too.
I don't know.
So would you do like a phone-free day where you just, Drake liked that. Would you do a phone-free day where you just like locked your phone in your house and went out on the farm?
Yeah, I occasionally do that. I mean, it's just difficult because the reality is that, you know, there are things that come up I'm to the point now when I'm out on the farm and I leave my phone because I don't want it to fall out of my pocket and the tractor roll over it or something. I just tell them, tell them where I'm at. Come and get me. The ATV's there if I need to answer a patient call. I mean, what else are you going to do? But it's nice not to have that there for a few moments. I mean, there's a little nice escape.
I mean, I will say if I haven't responded to you or I won't pick your call up. I mean, I have gone to turning my phone. It stays on D&D. It does not ring. I don't get the notifications, and that's helped me be free from distractions. But again, I think even outside of small business, Randy, if you have kids, if you have aging parents, I mean, they're like, you want people to be able to get a hold of you.
That thing about turning off the notifications, though, I don't know. I'm afraid I won't turn it back on, and then I won't hear the alarm, and I won't get up, and then I don't. And
then I'll have to host the show, darn it.
No, I mean, you know what I mean. It's just, that's a nightmare I couldn't live with. Well, I don't know. The thought of no internet, there's positives and negatives. I guess we've all become dependent on it at this point. Back with leftovers after this.
It's Wake Up
been brought to you. It's the leftover time. Stephanie, what's up?
In November, Missouri will launch its first ever cost-sharing child care program. Missouri Child Care Works will launch this. It's a partnership between a number of organizations with, I think, Child Care Aware of Missouri, Kids Win Missouri, and other local partners. It was backed by $2.5 million approved by the state legislature and the governor. The technology is a platform that connects families, employers, and providers in a single digital system where parents can search in real time for openings, and the platform handles payments in a single transaction. So that's been a priority of the business community in Missouri, and I think the legislature for some time trying to find better access for folks. I think the state suggested that there's a $1.35 billion annual loss in economic productivity due to childcare shortages, and has previously identified several areas as kind of childcare deserts. It's tough out there as someone with a young family. So if you are in the market, this is a new option for you.
Drake, what do you have?
All right. I have some bad news for us.
What is
just
this?
all men across the world.
Uh-oh. Listen up.
Justin Trudeau went public and is now dating Katy Perry. So
that might be bad for all single men across the world. Right?
It's just sad to see like such a weird dude get a hot woman. Like you always feel bad.
So Taylor Swift is not cute, but Katy Perry is.
I mean, yes. No, I stand by that.
That says more about her judgment than his.
That's a take. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad for her because Justin Trudeau. Ugh.
Yeah.
But maybe they can do a little swap, like Justin Trudeau with Taylor Swift and Katy Perry with Travis Kelce. I'd be happy with that trade.
Well, let's see what Stephanie thinks about Justin Trudeau. If you didn't know about his politics, would you find him attractive?
Maybe.
Yeah, sort of cute.
Maybe.
No, okay.
I don't know that I've ever really thought about it. Like politics is kind of at the top of my list.
Yeah,
He's
that
not
sort
a
of dominates. Yeah,
bad-looking guy.
Okay. So you think that's a real loss to male humanity, huh?
Yeah, that was just me being dramatic as well. But I do like the idea of trading, like, Justin Trudeau and Travis Kelce's wives around. I think that'd be better. Better for the world.
New reality show. John, leftover?
Kind of hard to follow, but yeah. Got a suspect in the Cole County Jail charged with biting a Jefferson City cop.
What?
Police were called out to a home, say the guy fought with police, finally arrested after being tased and pepper sprayed.
Gee.
Cop was treated and released.
Holy cow.
There you go. Brought teeth to a taser fight, I guess is what term that one is.
Well, it's not a leftover. We talked about earlier in the program, but this is National First Responders Day. So for our firefighters, our police officers, highway patrolmen, and women, the paramedics, EMTs, and I think maybe the docs and staff, nurses, docs, and everyone in the emergency departments, they're those intake from those first response very often, and they respond in some extraordinary ways too. So our hats off to you.
Firefighters.
Yep.
Put them up there right at the top of the list with everybody.
Mention that. And also, I think, the emergency rescue dive crews, I just think a lot of people are volunteer in these roles too, especially in rural Missouri, so good for you. It's a bit of a thing to me that I'm wondering why there seems to be in certain areas that used to be bastions of freedom and individuality and liberty. Switzerland's gone on war against free speech. There was a man that was jailed for claiming that skeletons reflect gender. The guy was an anthropologist, said, hey, you can tell the gender of someone by looking at skeletons, He's been jailed for crying out loud. Do we live in a crazy world or what? Well, we'll figure it out tomorrow on Wake Up Missouri. Thanks for being with us this day.